interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
I'm back.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
I like the way you ride with that booty on me.
It's going down.
Go down while you looking lonely.
It's going down.
Come around and it's all on me.
Anywhere you meet me, guaranteed to go down.
So, new year, new intro. Let's get it. I'm not so sure if I'm going to promise to be a brand new me this year, but my reactions are going to be a lot differently. I'm not going to be doing the most. I'm not going to be doing above and beyond, and I'm going to stay in my lane. That is how 2026 is going to be from here out. Either roll with me or I'm going to roll over you or around you. Whichever is easier.
Okay, she headed to the dance floor and she slowly started popping it. Song like my wrist beats, everybody got to watching it. Girl, you got that secret treasure, I'm gon' put a lock on it. Don't care what they say, I wouldn't stupid to be not on it.
Watch me flex. So I am still on my journey, natural anti-inflammatory, and it's going well. I actually left my house, which I very seldom do for those that know me. Went to Tradarius Jose, otherwise known as operating as Trader Joe's, looking specifically for red fleshed apples. No one in the state of Tennessee is selling these type of apples out loud. So I think I'm going to have to do some research online and get them shipped to me because they are the bomb. So I think I've spoken of the health benefits of red fleshed apples, but I know I've probably missed the peak harvest time and being able to access these apples outside of growing them myself, which I will not do because I have a tendency to kill trees. That's my lemon trees. But we're going to see this year. So the list of available red the list of red fleshed apples: Pink Pearl, Pink Sparkle, the Lucy Glow, Thornberry, Geneva Crab, Giant Russian, Winter Red Flesh, Almada, and the Mountain Rose are red because of the high levels of anthocyanins, which are known to improve endothelial function, the vessels of your cells. If you have high blood pressure or hypercholesterolemia, this substance acts as a protective. There's a reduction in inflammation and it modulates your immune system. So these apples themselves, not only are they genuinely beautiful apples, they actually are even sweeter and they also have much health benefits. So I went on a search and seizure mission to access these apples. Lucy Glow apples are not even available anymore, or not available consistently. And again, their peak time was like November, mid-December-ish. So you're not going to find them consistently here in Tennessee, but also, especially this time of year, if you do get your hands on some, they're not going to be at the peak sweetness or internally red. So the health benefits, although the health benefits are not any less with which are markedly less with white fleshed apples, the red apples or the apples of color are just more cardioprotective. So I did get the Envy apples, juice them up, mix them with my celery and cucumbers, added a pinch of cracked black pepper and pink salt with a little bit of basil and lime juice for preservation of that green color. And that juice combination was off the chain, and I'm grateful that I actually got the opportunity to make that, and it was very good. Also, I've been growing my own vegetables. I am very fortunate and very blessed to be able to have a garden that I purchased inside, and I was able to harvest 2 servings of bok choy, which I put in the air fryer. And this is just another way I found it accidentally, looking for different ways to prepare it, and just adding just maybe 3 or 4 ingredients, a little bit of garlic, salt, pepper, and olive oil. And you can actually create crispy bok choy. You got to make sure that you heat it low temperature and keep an eye on it so you won't burn up your leaves. And it actually makes a very good chip. And I'm actually excited about potentially making, because looks like I'm producing a lot of kale, and I'm going to produce my kale chips and just see how that rolls. So there's so much. And then adding that, making a proper bowl, adding that as a side for stir-fried chicken cubes. This is the oven roasted chicken from Tyson. Mixing that up with a little bit of truffle oil, black truffle oil, regular mushrooms, shallots, and then probably not adding as much fish sauce as I did. The meal that I just actually had is energy, and I had some just Pellegrino with some lime, and that's what gave me, more so than a cup of coffee, gave me the energy to be able to get the energy to, produce this podcast. I'm determined. It's later in the day, but I'm determined to produce all segments of it. And that is the type of meal that is a part of my whole anti-inflammatory protocol. And I'm hopeful that I'll be able to eat more things like that. As I said in an earlier episode, taking that recipe, creating stir fry with seafood, and you don't have to add a whole bunch of stuff. Be careful on how much actual salt or actual fish sauce that you add, because the saline content will actually increase the taste without increasing your sodium intake and your blood pressure. A lot of this stuff is intuitive and actually tastes good. If you're going to grow your own food, you need to come up with inventive ways to actually create it. And that's the word right there.
Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. Online, on time, oh so bold. Slow down the morning, speed up the soul. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. A world of flavor delivered whole. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away. click away. FB Roasters, your perfect cup, just a click away.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. So take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Ways to know and ways to grow, a temporal rainbow. I can be anything. So take a look, it's in a book, a tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. A tenfold rainbow. I'm Medusa by Ayana Gray. Is probably one of my top favorite books of all time that I've had the fortune to read. Also, it is the February/March book pick of the month. I will be updating that as of today, March 1st. I've decided that I would prefer to, or do I want to actually have the Star Trek package as part of a subscription? I have not thought about that quite yet. No, I'm going to keep it as I'm Medusa, but this is just an update on the books that will be paired for my Interstellar Hospitality series. I am planning a 2-week trek to and from Sedona with Star Trek 60's anniversary celebration along the way for my dog Ethel and I. Navigate to any one of my platforms, Tim Fro is Reading or Felicia Baxter on Twitter, or wherever you listen to the podcast, to get other updates on possible posting in preparation for this endeavor. But I'm Medusa. One, I only knew, like most people, we only know the front-facing story of Medusa. This, in the spirit of Elphaba from Wicked, this is the year where we get the backstory on what we have always been taught as villains. This goes back to Greek mythology. Medusa is a somewhat anti-hero that she was turned into a quote-unquote monster due to Athena basically double-crossing her. And according to Medusa's family, the mother, Medusa, this is not the first time Athena's done some fuck shit. Let's just go back to before Medusa was Medusa, when she was just Medi to all that was supposed to love her. Her father was an old god of the sea before Poseidon, but he still had rule over the weirdos of the sea court. Her mother also was an old god of the sea, but she was female. They were immortal. Immortality did not protect them by any means, unfortunately for them. And unfortunately for Medusa. She was the mother to not just 3, we find out later in the book. She was actually the mother of a total of 6. 2 girls and a boy that were born before Sathena, and I can't remember the other one. Yali. And then there was Medusa, who's the only mortal out of this group of immortals. There was a story that Athena was tasked by her father Zeus to come and get rid of the first three children who were weirdo. They were weirdo sea creatures, but Sera, Medusa's mother, actually loved them. And nobody stood in the wake for those kids. She tried to, but the father, always looking out for himself, seems like he let it happen. That story was just gut-wrenching because after it happened, it seems that Medusa's mother became a shadow of herself, and her immortality did not protect her because she was still subject to the brutality of her husband. Domestic violence ruled that household. He basically ruled this household with fear and intimidation. It didn't bring him adoration or even love, because at the end, he still fled and left all of his daughters to suffer the consequences of the whims of the Olympians. And how did Medusa, as the child of so-called lesser gods, catch the attention of the great Olympians? Well, one of her sisters, I believe it was Euryale, she was supposed to actually get married to someone else that was almost as brutal as her own father. And check this out. He basically came in knowing that he was also mortal, but she was thinking that this is all she could actually do. Came in with a humongous tiger as some type of present that he had been feeding his human slaves to, which I think is just crazy to me. And then he ended up getting got. He basically was another premonition to the power of Medusa. You know, there's Evil Lives Here, where they talk about serial killers, etc. And they said so-and-so was da-da-da-da, but there have been signs. There have been signs, because the beginning of the book opens with a potential rape, and then Medusa basically murders the priest who is outside, who ends up becoming as a predator to the young women that comes for blessings at the temple. And it's wild. When the entirety of that story comes out, it's basically Medusa's strong sense of justice that makes her actually set dude up and go after him. She drugs her partner and goes after him anyways, and then she escapes and goes back home where she should have relative safety, and she did. But she did not, and because she dared to tell some mortal dude, I won't kill for you, because she knew that was going to be a different type of prison. And then she basically did everything but spit in Athena's face. When she offered her the same thing, she was like, hell no, bye bitch. The Olympians then conspired to have Medusa killed. Basically, they give her the tools to decapitate her and then still use her to do the very thing that she would never do for somebody else. And that's what, before I go on my rant, the book itself is about, to me, has about self-agency of your mind, body, and soul. When you know who you are and whose you are, there's a safety in that. But forces outside of you, Olympians, lesser gods, whatever, your fathers, mothers. There are so many negative forces trying to remove your self-agency from you. And this is where you just got to be careful and just aware of people will talk a good game only to get you. So my one major takeaway from this book is having self-agency, knowing that, and what are the steps to be able to know your self-agency and go there. Another opening of the book is a quote from Zora Neale Hurston that basically sought self-agency her entire life. Gods always behave like the people who make them. And then Audre Lorde, sometimes it seems that anger alone keeps me alive. You know, that's damn skippy. But going on to Medusa going into her purpose. She takes care of a possible suitor for one of her sisters. I believe it was Eurali. Basically bumps him off and he clocks himself in the back of the head and dies. Athena comes to investigate his murder, and Medusa confesses to the what and the why of it all. I find it fascinating that even Athena, as I said, one of the most powerful gods who just happens to be female, a god of war and wisdom, and she still was subject to her father's rule, Zeus, and to his lecherous brother, and that was Poseidon, who was still smarting that she basically won the favor of the people before it was Athens. That's why she got Athena, and she was allowed to erect a whole temple for chastity and morality, what it stood for. And it was wild that even she knew no one could keep up that if one of those lecherous gods actually set their sights on, or even men set their sights on any of the women, they were not protected. And there was nothing that they could do, and they were going to be blamed for their own in crimes that were against their bodies. It's just so wild how paternal and misogyny rampant in Greek mythology, but also ruled the day and still rule that day as well as today. So, with that said, Medusa has to go through 3 tests to become a priestess. And her friend Apollonia, whose family had served the temple for centuries, still that did not protect her from her going out drinking and then getting attacked and raped by guards. That old Callista, whoever that was, she basically wanted to get back at Apollonia and told on her. But again, who was also a xenophobe, still didn't protect her from getting also cast out because of her lack of justice. I say, and then all of those things, it was a series of events within a short period of time from the time that Medusa showed up in Athens and then was still being stalked by Poseidon. And then she was turned into a monster. The prettiest thing about her they used it to become snakes, and that would become Medusa's superpower. The whole ranking hierarchy within the temple itself, how the major church in Athens was, or temple in Athens was beautiful, but it was those lesser temples, especially the one in Cyrene, that where there, seems like where there are men, there's always going to be filth, and it was always a little run down, because I honestly believe that the major church that was truly ruled by the women, and where Athena was, and she couldn't, even, again, immortal, she couldn't be everywhere, but whatever donations that temple actually got went for the preservation of the temple. It was those churches on the outskirts that the whole idea of the temple became corrupted. Absolute power, and when you're allowed to operate in absolute secrecy and autonomy, it will corrupt absolutely. And that's exactly what happened to the temple, and why it was so run down in Cyrene. It looks neglected, even though there was a priest there, but the highest of priestesses was obviously, to me, absent. But getting back to everything that led up to the expulsion of Apollonia, the last two other acolytes, and Medusa becoming a priestess, how even then Poseidon was plotting. From the first time he showed up on that island, he basically seems to be like he was using his power and his silver tongue for his own gains, and also to get back and to show Athena. Because everything that had happened to her, from her being able to retrieve that owl, to him showing up and protecting her from that crackhead while she was trying to go to the toilet. All of those things. He gave her validation. He made her feel worthy, and he knew she was naive. And all she actually had to give was her virginity. And he took that knowing that it would lead to her being kicked out of the temple. But even more than that, and he didn't even care. He knew that Athena was also vindictive. And she would ask her father to do the very thing that she couldn't do. And they made Medusa the monster that would go after any men that basically tried the women of their no-name island. That all came about because he basically took her back to this is Poseidon, took her back to the same spot where he was cheating on his wife with one of his wife's sisters, with her sisters. Took her back. They actually were having sex in the open, knowing that anybody could find him, and particularly, I think he did it as a conquest, because Athena then shows up. And Medusa is persecuted for just being a pawn in a struggle between the Olympians. How crazy is that? To have agency over your mind, body, and soul is that you possess, or I possess, the right to define my own narrative, govern my physical boundaries, and maintain an internal sanctuary that no external force can corrupt. It is the transition from being a subject of fate to being an author of my own existence. And this concept isn't just a theme. This is where it's central. Agency over what? The novel suggests that for those marginalized by power, like Maddie and myself, or people try to in 2026, agency is rarely given. It must be reclaimed through fire. In Greek mythos, a woman's body is often treated as a vessel for divine whims, Poseidon wooing and then raping Medea, and then she getting jacked up by Athena. And then Athena's justice. It's where her hair is used or changed into a weapon of isolation. It really begins when Medea stops viewing her new form as a curse and start viewing it as a boundary. The snakes become a literal no-fly zone for predators. She moves from a body that is acted upon to a body that acts. When you take agency over your own mind, this is the ability to reject labels society places on you. But the trap is Athena wants Medea to believe she's a monster because she failed to stay pure. This is that psychological scam designed to keep victims in a state of shame. Medea's agency is found in her refusal to agree with the gods. She deconstructs their logic, realizing that the monstrosity is actually the gods' own narcissism reflected back at them. As she tells herself, they call me a monster because they cannot control my silence. So, this lesson, the book serves as a stinging reminder for mortals that power is an illusion maintained by those who claim to be divine. These are influencer bosses, Gary Kings of the world. This is a snapback to Below Deck Sailing Yacht. Agency is the first, if we go back to 2026, agency is the thing that is the first thing you try to steal. Agency or boundaries set by people that won't allow themselves to be scammed out of their money, out of their crypto, or any other thing that belongs to you. Let's see. There's also, when I reflect upon Narcissus, I looked up whether he was an Olympian or was he a lesser god, and he actually wasn't even a god. He was actually some type of spirit. He, like Medea, before she was cursed, he had power before he was cursed. He was born beautiful because his parents were gods, but then he was not taught anything outside of his beauty and what could be done with it. This just makes me think that the gods' own power stemmed from the fact of other people loving them more than them having, because immortality was not really a shield or protection. They only were relevant when humans and mortals and other gods worshiped them. Why they fell off is because monotheism, like from the sun god Ra, from Christ, the belief in the omniscient, almighty. When you got nobody adoring you, you can't keep their attention, so they basically soon lose power and are forgotten. And they basically go back to their immortal cages like the Gargoyles or Medusa's sisters. So you got to be careful who you idealize and who you actually, yourself becoming narcissistic, and basically your job or deifying the preachers in the church. All of those things are a slippery slope for you to lose track of what your agency is. When I know whose I am, I know what I want to do, and I basically put up roadblocks to those things that are going to knock me off of my purpose, then that's when I got to shift, regroup. And now everybody has to go where you have to go. You don't have to go to the extreme. However, sometimes it's going to require violence to bring back order. That's why people got to stop playing in people's face, because people are tired. I get that. Sometimes you do got to punch them in the face. You can't turn them to stone, but you can punch them in the face if necessary. You got to know when it's just better for your own peace of mind to walk away and to basically separate yourself from situations that don't serve you. And that's an okay thing to be. You can be alone, but you don't have to be lonely, because you can actually still act and keep your mind engaged. You can read great books like Medusa, and just continue to explore what your purpose is and continue the work to get to that purpose without a whole bunch of drama. Sounds familiar because that's the Vio dance introduction to or rendition for the original series. I love this artist. I want to give her full props. And this is just in time for the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. In this upcoming series of posts, I plan on just giving the details of my journey with several stops like a Ferengi through the Indian casinos, and then chilling out in a what was that place, that whole planet that was dedicated to relaxation. I'm very just happy and excited about taking you guys along with my journey. Although I won't be in town for when William Shatner comes to the viewing of The Wrath of Khan, I plan on talking about making new connections between the original series films, as well as tracking it back to DS9, which is my favorite episode, as well as Next Generation. Join me as I take a trek at this section of my life in celebrating pretty much the entire rest of the year about Star Trek. This journey, while we stay here on Earth and we take over our own narrative. Isn't that dope? (2026) is or has become the age of, seriously, the age of celebration of Star Trek 60, the 60th anniversary from the start of the original service. I'm preparing for my trek to Sedona with my dog in April. William Shatner is actually coming to Soldiers Field in April. Unfortunately, during that 2 weeks that I'm going to be gone. Furthermore, what I plan on doing is in the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be restarting Tinfro's Bar, which is my take on Quark's Bar, and I'm going to be dedicating it to Star Trek, reviewing Star Trek memorabilia, looking for different and newer connections between several of the movies as well as the original series, probably, because it was groundbreaking. That whole platform was groundbreaking. It put Desilu Productions on the map. It became a cult classic when CBS probably wanted it to be canceled. And it still continues because at the age of 93, 94 years old, William Shatner is still out here leading watch parties. So I think it's just an amazing thing to be a part of. So in this part, as we continue celebrating the anniversary of Star Trek, the original series, I'm going to just start out with a combination of the list of the original Star Trek movies, and there are a lot of movies. So I think, at least for this month, as far as Tinfoil Bar is concerned, I will have so much to consider. Also, as far as this week, navigate to FB Roasters, either to apply for a subscription to the tea of the month or the coffee of the month. This month it is hibiscus. The hibiscus berry, and the coffee of the month is the Bali Blue. I think it's a medium roast. The links to both will be in the podcast notes. But this month's book, I'm going to continue with I, Medusa, as far as the book that is being paired with both for this month. But you can also navigate to Far From Beale Street on bookshop.com to also locate most of the movies, as well as a lot of the electronic, as well as the hard copies of each of the books that I will probably be discussing during this new Tinfoil Bar going forward. Further, I'm thinking about just also having this section of Tinfoil Bar be on its own as far as one of the channels that I manage on Podbeam, as well as part of the overall podcast, larger podcast that will be published a little bit later. I know that's a lot of information, but I'm hoping you'll continue to listen and enjoy, because I very much enjoy rewatching these movies and learning different connections. Now, why DS9 in the original Star Trek movies? Because it is said, although DS9 is set roughly 100 years after the original movies, it is famous for being the series most frequently deconstructed, or is said to pay homage to the themes of the original series films. The first one, which was groundbreaking back in 1979, almost 12 years after the original debut of the original series on TV. This was a mysterious energy cloud called V'ger heads towards Earth, destroying everything in its path. Admiral Kirk retakes command of the Enterprise to intercept it, only to discover it is a sentient, evolved Earth probe seeking its creator. I think this may have been Voyager or something else, like one of the satellites, with radiation energy spilling from it because it was malfunctioning. It needed to Control-Alt-Delete to reset itself. The match for that is the Emissary. They both involve protagonists Kirk and Sisko dealing with a non-linear, godlike alien entity. Either it's V'ger or the Prophets that doesn't understand humanoid existence. Just as V'ger forces Kirk to look at the human adventure through a new lens, the Prophets force Sisko to justify the concept of linear time and grief. There's Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, which William Shatner is going to become, and we're going to be able to view that next month in April. But of course, I'm not going to be here I'm actually going to be out of town on my trek. This film explores themes of aging, sacrifice, and the no-win scenario ending with Spock's death. Because Khan Noonien Singh, a genetically engineered tyrant, then there's Noonien Sung, who actually creates data in the Star Trek Next Generation series. Okay, I'm getting this. I'm getting it. This is the DS9 pairing is with For the Uniform season 5. This is Captain versus Nemesis story. He becomes obsessed with catching the traitor Eddington. This mirrors Khan's obsession with Kirk. Sisko even quotes Les Miserables, echoing the literary gravitas of Khan quoting Moby Dick. In Star Trek 3, The Search for Spock, Kirk and his crew defy Starfleet orders and steal the Enterprise to recover Spock's body from the Genesis planet, hoping his katra or soul can be reunited with his physical form. And the match for that is DS9, The Sword of Kahless, Season 4, Episode 9. Both are quest stories involving the search for a legendary relic. The first one, Spock's body, and the second one, Kahless' sword, that has the power to unify a people. Both explore how the pursuit of a miracle can lead to betrayal and the loss of what matters most. And then in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home, to save Earth from an alien probe, the crew travels back to 1986, which is hilarious because this dropped in 1986. San Francisco to retrieve humpback whales. I can't remember even watching this. I maybe have to watch this week, y'all. It's a fish out of water comedy adventure. And then there's The Little Three Green Men, when basically Quark, Rom, and Nog end up at Roswell in 1947. Both use the back-to-Earth past trope to poke fun at 20th century human eccentricities like smoking and nuclear testing. And then the last original Star Trek movie, The Final Frontier, Spock's half-brother, Seabock, hijacks the Enterprise to find God at the center of the galaxy. His Vulcan abilities he uses his abilities to release people from their secret pain to gain their loyalty. Of course, the match of that is Gul Dukat leads the followers to believe in the Pa rates. Like Seabock, Dukat uses religious zealotry to justify his own ego and hijack the lives of others. Then there's 6, The Undiscovered Country. After a disaster threatens the Klingon Empire, the Federation of Klingon attempt to forge a peace treaty. Kirk, who hates Klingons for the death of his son, must overcome his prejudice to stop conspiracy. This matches up within the pale moonlight. Both political theory thrillers that deal with the dirty work required to maintain or achieve peace during a massive war. Where 6 focuses on the hope of peace, in the pale moonlight, it's a darker mirror showing the compromises Sisko makes to win the Dominion War. And the only other bloodiest episode of real life harkens back to the Civil War here in the United States. Both World War I, trench wars, and World War II, just in general, Vietnam, and then again in the Gulf Wars, both of them. So, and then also what is going on now in Israel, and then the recent bombing of Iran. So, art does imitate life, but most of the time, reality or life can be more brutal. And thank you for listening. My apologies to Henry Mancini, but a riff on the Pink Panther theme is in alignment with a podcast segment dedicated to a fictional PI and all about true crime, or fictional crime in this case. Don't you think? The scam of it all, people still have time to rip people off. We could be right in the middle of a war, and it looks like the United States, headed by the dumbness of the headsets and the chumps of the world, we still have time to steal and rob. A lot of these things are, I believe, are just diversions from what is really going on, cover-ups. Look over there for scams. I think I actually reported on this story a couple of years ago when it just started to play out, and when I actually started reporting on the scams of it all for my podcast. But this is a story of Ed Zimbardi. And News 2 Atlanta, they have been following this just as long as I have. This dude has continued to rip off companies to the total of $1.5 million each. Now he says he's run overseas. Basically, he is racking up charges for fleeing. Already a felony per count. Now this dude, he's still hiding behind the anonymity of crypto, and he's ripping people off. What he's selling them, the crypto program, is basically classic smoke and mirrors. He promises returns, and then the money stops. Everybody lose it all once he makes a run on these alleged pockets. He basically just changed user ID, creates a new wallet, and then he runs with the money. And he's still doing it. People want an easy score. They're looking to score a lick, and they got. And he's able to operate because people want the promise of easy money trumps, awareness, or trumps reason, because they say, oh, I can make this X, Y, and Z. All is untraceable. Oh, I won't have to pay taxes on it probably, which is illegal. But I'm going to trust somebody that I don't know when they promise outsized gains. I don't want to give anybody that kind of agency over my finance because that's a boundary I set. I can't afford to lose the money, so I'm not going to invest in anything that I have not created, done the research, and know that it does have a return. Plus, I know the way of the world now, as far as finance and individual investment, there are no sure gains. Definitely 20, 30, 50%, 100%. Those only happen fictionally. And if you keep running around like a chicken with your head cut off, you're not only going to lose it all, because nobody has that kind of time to lose it. So there you go. No reputable person is just going to reach out to you randomly on social media offering you 100% gains, because those chances don't exist. They say scare money don't make money, but stupid money, you go lose that. So Yeah, there's just a whole bunch of unholy amount of information, ungodly information that's coming out on the reality TV world. And what better yet of using the instrumental of unholy as I record on this glorious Sunday morning. You gotta know when you just talk too much, but here I go. Listen, this is the only time I'm going to even repeat or talk about this because Mary Crosby just lost her only son, Robert Crosby Jr., to mental illness as well as probably more likely accidental overdose. We had followed his journey with his mother's journey on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. My heart goes out to her and her family. There's no way to express the trauma of losing your only child. Most people think that parents should not outlive their children, but this is where Mary's at. If you have a chance, please send well wishes to her page on whatever social media platform, and just be respectful. Also, rest in power to Jesse Jackson, a pillar of social advocacy and civil rights. He was with Martin Luther King at that Lorraine Hotel in Memphis, Tennessee. And the fact that I now live and I love where I live in Tennessee has not been lost on me. And also, this is the NAACP Image Awards was recorded on the last day of Black History Month. And initially, I had caught them when the CEO and president of that organization basically was speaking about the shoulders of who we were standing on, and I wasn't prepared to watch it because it felt heavy. And then that fool Deion Cole made me laugh, and it made me think. And then Samuel L. Jackson came on, and it made me think that how brilliant and beautiful it is when we can celebrate ourselves. And why is Kendrick Lamar still winning awards for a diss track he recorded 3 years ago? But I love it. So this is a great way to start and pick up where I ended on my scam portion of the podcast. Wendy Asefo in this next iteration of Real Housewives of Potomac, the reunion, part 3 of the reunion, she basically answers some poignant questions and clarification and offer clarification on her current status of how many charges, how many actual credit cards that there were. She cleared up those aliases are not tied to 67 credit cards. They're tied to package delivery and not to credit cards. I hope it wasn't 67 different packages. But, as I basically shop online, I think I probably get 67 packages within a couple of years. But there you go. 67 different companies, doubtful. But 2 alias 67 packages over a number of years, that's probable. She also answers to the shade of it all between her and Karen and why both of them were upset, and they both thought that each one of them betrayed the other. One was, and it seemed so simple or silly. Why did Karen basically relay something? She didn't call her mother a witch. She basically said during the time that people were accusing your mother of being a witch, that I supported you. And she said when you were trying to have the answer to that DUI, I supported you. So it's basically was a back and forth over something so mundane and silly. And there's so many things that are going on in the world that them going back and forth over that is crazy. I don't understand I don't know if they're going to reveal who the mole is in the group that revealed that information about Chris and Stacy's alleged relationship, because they keep bleeping out somebody's name. But all I want to see is the receipts. Is this true? Did you say this? Did he say that? Or did you do X, Y, and Z? If y'all have no receipts, move on. I am there with Real Housewives of Potomac. Going on with Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, there's been some, as of late, it's been real, it's been dark a little bit, but at least we're seeing some substance in what these women are dealing with, and we're seeing somewhat resolution. I'm over the PK Dorit story of it all. Y'all need to resolve it or kick rocks. I'm very interested in someone that's always in crisis, but she's still coming out on the other side looking better than ever is Erica Jane. And we're into her truly second bloom, because not only was she finally divorced from Tom, now she's being sued by the bankruptcy people for $25 million large, which we know she probably doesn't have. If she could put some money on it, and she may have to put that judgment on layaway and just pay it off in order for her to live, or she's going to have to go back on the road, write a book, just like Lisa Rinna did, and take that nice fat advance to pay it down. But either or, she's going to need a lot of therapy, which we actually saw her in a very intense session with a therapist that seems to like her, and they like each other and respect each other. But she's also dealing with the remnants of going through and being a domestic violence survivor, which blows my mind. And also, Denise Richards is coming out on the other side of a really bad long-term relationship. But then again, she survived Charlie Sheen, so there you go. She had somebody kicking her behind, allegedly, while she was getting cosmetic surgery, probably to correct the years of abuse on her body from being beat in the face. So it's a lot. But I'm seeing, and then Rachel Zoe, who I think is really underweight. And there's something going on with her face. I don't know, it's because she was drinking or her fillers are shifting, but there's something going on with the center of her face, because her nose is looking too small for the width of what is left in her face. And if she's trying to have it fill out, because she would look like she's melting, or the crypt keeper, or she just can't lean forward because her face will deflate. Something is not quite right there. But she's also dealing with the aftermath of a really bad breakup. It's not just a breakup of their relationship, it's a breakup of the relationship between her estranged husband and the rest of her family, because he was considered a son, he was considered a brother, and now he's just not there anymore. She said that he was considered their favorite person, a son, and then now he's not. He's with his younger girlfriend, being the person he became. And he said he liked it. He don't care if you don't like it. So I know that has to be hurtful. I don't know if I'm actually invested in the Sutton Strack of it all, because Sutton Strack, and even this renewed 2.0 Brown, I'm not so sure. So I'm not really going to comment on that. And then there's Lisa Rinna's book, and she's dropping the tea and body shaming all in one fell swoop with her new book. You better believe I'm going to talk about it, which will be available for purchase on my bookstore, Far From Beale Street. As I get access to it, I'll probably just get the ebook, and I'll actually read it, and just the most salacious parts for the show in the upcoming weeks. You can take the girl out of the hood, but you can't take hood music out the girl. But I'm going to end this with a word, just as I started this podcast. Do or do not do. There is no try. And that's a word from Yoda. I hope I have conveyed just how much fun I have had in creating this podcast. I've got my mojo back. Just set your intention or reset your intention. It could be daily if necessary. Mine is peace. No mental dumping over here. If I'm acting like I'm not listening, I'm probably not. I'm not your therapist. I'm not a therapist. Keep the crazy to yourself, child. You do you and leave me be. The sooner you figure that ish out, the happy you will be. So this is what I want to convey in this podcast. And that wraps another of FAFFO has a fro. Join me next time as I throw shade and point out the shade and simply have fun. Y'all have a great new year. What, y'all? What?